Hello, I would like to thank you for choosing organizational development. My name is Fred Francis. I will be your instructor for the course. This course will go into explaining organizational development. This lesson will be an introduction. The purpose is to make everyone aware of organizational development so that all participants will understand the processes that it encompasses. There have always been two types of intervention in the field of organizational development. First, there is intervention for activity. Several clients have listened to others within their industry and followed the same footsteps, thus wasting a considerable amount of money. An example is we had a client who requested diversity training, stated they had a diagnosis, and this is what they wanted. The diagnosis was performed for a competitor. Needless to say, after hiring 5 training companies, it did not work. They had not performed the necessary steps to reach that level. Thus, money was wasted. Another client wanted management training. Our diagnosis found they did need this, but only after they had other interventions first. Early in my career, some of you remember rope courses. It was all the craze and is still effective in some cases. You are not your neighbor's company. Your organization is unique, an individual like you are. I am sure you want interventions to make an impact. Once implemented, and I am sure you want a return on that investment, also known as ROI. Now that the, so to speak, light is clicked on, let's continue. Organizational development is a process. The process should revolve around the mission and vision of the client. There are several practitioners that offer interventions without knowing the mission and vision of the client, which in some cases may have a limited value. It is also known as intervention for activity. An effective practitioner who is going to deliver interventions for impact is going to insist on learning about 5 issues that surround the core of your organization. Yet at the same time, it's going to enhance employee engagement, improve employee performance, and develop a culture of continuous improvement, which will lead to continuing to achieve the core of your organization. First is the diagnosis phase. Let's face it, we wouldn't let a doctor administer treatment without first finding out what problems we are facing. I really don't think the phrase, "take 2 aspirins and call me in the morning," would make us feel very confident in that physician. In this phase, we are going to look at 6 potential problems, which are the purpose, the structure, the relationships, the rewards, the leadership, and the helpful mechanisms. Find what the gaps are and how significant are those gaps? And what interventions can be performed to improve or possibly eliminate the gaps? To accomplish this, practitioners need to observe, interview, and distribute questionnaires. The interventions for each gap need to be implemented, and the organization needs to allow what's called a transfer of learning for each intervention to be effective. The transfer of learning is important. As individuals learn and are learning a skill, it is important they are able to transfer those skills. Actually utilize and practice those skills in real life. The analysis phase is so important and needs to be done accurately, objectively, and anonymously. Enter the data and comments without revealing the identity of the individuals. Anonymity is very important to achieve accurate and very real data. The analysis phase should be delivered on a cumulative data sheet. Only the practitioner or the person who is compiling the information should know the identity of the individuals. The data sheet may also contain relevant but objective statements. The severity of the gaps in each area will lead the practitioner to discover what areas need to be addressed first and what interventions should be used for each area that has a gap. Finally, the interventions have been determined and a course of action needs to be implemented on each gap. We're almost complete with this process. Remember, it is a process. As interventions are implemented and the transfer of learning has begun for each intervention, we want to begin what is called the ADDIE process for each intervention. Then, to ensure each intervention is working, we will reanalyze, redesign, redevelop, reimplement. Then it will be time to do the evaluation all over again to make sure we are at optimum performance. This is where we began to utilize and tweak the process of continuous improvement. Analysis. Are the gaps growing or are they shrinking? Redesign interventions based on the resulting gaps. Development is redevelop the interventions to close the gap, shrinking them, making them more narrow. Implementation is re-implement the improved interventions. And at this part, don't forget the transfer of learning. Again, it is critical for a good implementation. Finally, evaluation. Now it's time to reevaluate and then return to the rest of the ADDIE process. I would like to thank you for taking this course. Have a great day and hope to see you at other upcoming courses.